We're now going to spend some time looking over all the different question types that you might need to answer in the IELTS reading test. By the end of the lesson, you'll have a much better understanding about the kinds of questions that you might get and also what they look like. So let's move on to IELTS reading question type overview. There are 10 questions that you could get in the test. That doesn't necessarily mean that you will see all 10 question types in your IELTS reading test. Some questions are more popular than others, so it's more likely that you will see other questions and some you might not see. Let's go through the 10 question types. First, we have short answer questions. Multiple choice. True, false, not given, which is very popular. Sentence completion. Label a diagram. Summary completion. Matching sentence endings. Matching heading, which is also very popular. Matching names. And lastly, matching information to paragraphs. It's very important that you become familiar with these 10 question types, as there are strategies that you can use to make sure that you are answering them well. Let's take a look at some key information for IELTS reading question types. Like the IELTS listening test, the IELTS reading test usually gets harder from section 1 to section 3. That means that some questions are also harder than others. You're more likely to see a summary question type in section 3 of the IELTS reading test, and that's because summary questions are more difficult to answer. Some of the answers to certain questions are also in order in the text. Now let me explain that a little bit further. In the example of a short answer question, you will find that the answers are ordered in the text. So that means that the answer to question 1 will be at the very beginning of the text, and the answer to question 2 must come after that in the text, possibly in the middle. And the answer to question 3, for example, therefore must come at the end. That means that when answering some questions, it will give you a little bit more help in terms of where to look for the answers. This doesn't happen for all questions and is something that I don't want you to concentrate on too much. I think it's better that you understand strategies and skills for answering IELTS reading questions rather on focusing basic cheat sheets and information that will help you, like where the answers are ordered. But as you practice some tests and do more IELTS reading practice exercises, you'll come to understand that sometimes the answers are in a logical order in the text. That's all for some key information for these 10 question types. And I'll say again, I think it's great if you can become familiar with all these question types. And in the next lessons after this, we'll be looking at strategies for each question. But for now, let's take a look at some examples to help you understand what the question types look like. So, moving on to question focus, short answer questions. I'll read the question and answer through to you. On the 17th of June 1964, the English football team played Scotland and won 3-0. And here's the question. Who won in the football match between England and Scotland? So for a short answer question, you will usually be asked to answer between 1 to 3 words. It's very important that you are spelling your answer correctly, and it can often be taken and almost always be taken from the text. So the answer here is England, as they beat Scotland 3-0. You would simply write England. Moving on to multiple choice. The local town hall had been knocked down to build a new housing estate. And here's what the question looks like. For what reason was the town hall demolished? And we have 4 options that we can answer for. For multiple choice questions, as well as many other question types, an understanding of synonyms and an advanced level of vocabulary will very much help you. In the text, we are told that the town hall was knocked down for a new housing estate. In the multiple choice options, B says knocked down for a residential area. Housing estate and residential area are both synonyms. You can therefore see how synonyms will help you massively in the IELTS reading test. Moving on to our next question type, true, false, not given. And again, this is a very popular question type in the IELTS reading test. Here's the text. Saltwater crocodiles are able to survive without food for over 3 weeks, although need water daily. And here's what a true, false, not given question type looks like. True, if the statement agrees with the text. False, if the statement does not agree with the text. And not given if there is no information about this in the text. So, statement 1. Saltwater crocodiles need water every day. And my answer is true, because the text says that they need water daily. Number 2, saltwater crocodiles only eat dolphins. Now this is false, as we know that they eat lots of different things, but the text does not tell us anything about dolphins. We can only answer with our knowledge from the text. As there's no mention of dolphins, and especially what saltwater crocodiles eat, my answer is not given. Number 3, saltwater crocodiles need food every 3 days. Obviously, this is false because the answer is every 3 weeks at least. So, moving on to the next question, sentence completion. London Bridge is one of the most famous landmarks in England. And here's what the question looks like. Many people in the United Kingdom believe London Bridge is one of the most landmarks. And the answer would be famous. It's very, very important that you copy the language from the text. Okay, moving on, we have label a diagram, and here is a picture of a guitar. Quite simply, we label like this. A would be string, B would be tuner. Now, again, the answers come from the text. Next up, we have summary completion. A European court has ruled that Lionel, the world's top earning, can trademark his own name. The Barcelona and Argentina striker fought a 7-year to be able to use his on sports goods. Here I've been given the option of 4 answers, which you may sometimes get. Sometimes you will have to get these answers from the text, and you won't be given the options here that I've shown you in blue. Again, if it's from the text, you need to copy very carefully and be careful of your spelling. So, on to the next question, matching sentence endings. Complete each sentence with the correct ending. The UN, United Nations, intervention. A, played more rock concerts worldwide. B, helped stop the breakout of war. Or C, hosted a fashion show. So this is just an example of what a matching sentence ending might look like. And on to matching headings. Choose the correct headings for section A to F. This is a very popular question, and of course we'll be looking at strategies to answer it later in the course. You will need to use headings shown in the list of headings below and put them for different sections of the text. You'll need to read carefully each part of the text and obviously skim to find key information. So that brings us on to matching names. Match each statement with the correct researcher or researchers. And here you can see some statements with a list of researchers below. You'll need to match the researchers to the statement. And lastly, we have matching information to paragraphs. The question: write the correct letter A to B in the boxes. A, the family were speechless, and B, what happened during their holiday. The statements give an overview of each of the paragraphs, and you'll need to match them correctly. You can pause the video and try and do this now if you like. So that brings us to the end of our question type overview for IELTS reading. Next up, we'll be looking at strategies to answer each of these questions.